what the practice of relational presence I see now is, it's a spiritual practice with extraordinary professional development benefits. But the practice is about being with one person at a time, like they're the only person in the world, and making that your default mode of communicating, even when you're just speaking to one person or speaking to 100 people. Because I've discovered the only way I could get comfortable was to be with one person, never with a group. I don't know what it means to be with a group. So I thought that when I created this about 20 years ago, when this came through me, this idea, I thought I was just going to, it was going to be a crutch for getting over my awful stage fright, be with one person at a time. Turned out that that's what the great communicators do anyway. They don't even know it. They're not even necessarily aware of it. But what I've discovered is that when you practice being with one person at a time, fully energetically with, everything else goes out the window. All anxiety eventually melts out, drops off. And what you know that you need to say shows up. Now, it doesn't mean you don't have a plan if you have a talk to give. But you don't have to rehearse it line by line. You can have a structure. And trust yourself to think it through. Because the thing that stops us in speaking like that is we think we have to cover every second and we're not allowed to stop and take a breath. And then really I've got to cover every second, can't have any breath, can't have anything in the middle. But when you realize that you not only can stop and breathe, but you need to, because otherwise they're not breathing. And if they're not breathing, they're not listening. You discover that there's an expansion of time or something that you get plugged in. If I could use this language, I think I can in Northern Marin. You plug into divine intelligence, you plug into universal wisdom. The listening helps rather than puts your pressure on you. So it's a practice that eventually, in front of any group of people, any amount of people, to only be with one person or another. If somebody's in the 30th row and I can hardly see their eyes, I sense there's a being. Notice that as I model this, I'm even squared off to the one person at a time. And I don't speak when I'm moving from one person to another. So I'm not doing this. Now, in the world of public speaking, professional speaking even, this would be considered extraordinary eye contact. It just drives me nuts, though, because it's eye service. So we don't use eye contact in speaking. In relational presence, we talk about available eyes, being with neutrally, not trying to connect. Why do I say we're not, even though connection is what we want, the reason we're not trying to connect is if we're trying to connect, we're coming from separation. We are connected. And I think you all probably have a spiritual sense of that, or a cosmology about that, or some sense that there is a human connection. Well, that's what we are allowing to reveal by being available to one person at a time. I start to do this. This is something, because this represents to me the energy of meeting underground. That's one way of looking at me, at connection, is that we're all through the law of gravity connected to the center of the earth. Whew. And we meet energetically, perhaps, at the center of the earth. Or, for some people, the metaphor works better like the roots of trees entwined underground. So I don't have a sense of having to reach you, project to you over ground. I have a sense of resonating down and up. And it's become second nature by practicing like at a gym. There's the gym. It's the gym. For practicing relational presence, being with one person at a time until it becomes so comfortable, nothing can stop you. But when you're new at it, or relatively new at it, you need the support of a group like this. And we ask for absolute support. That's what works. The support you're giving me is it. To be available at all times. Whoever's turn it is. And you're going to have dyads, whoever your partner is. You're right there. Not trying to figure out what they're saying or not trying to support them. validate them, but to develop this almost meditative listening, expansive availability without trying. So it's beyond personality. I call it now holding someone in my eyes. I'm holding you in my eyes, and you're holding me in my eyes, in your eyes. It could be very intimate. It seems intimate. It's not personal as much as it is human to human, soul to soul, heart to heart, spirit to spirit. I see that our hearts, it's really our presence is heart to heart or being to being. The eyes is just who we're aimed at. So nothing much going on up here. We think here. I think we think with our heart. That's been proven, I think, that we do think with our heart. Speak from our heart, or from our soul, or wherever, or from the center of the earth. So we practice all day. It's wonderful. What a luxury to practice. And no matter where you start and what the challenge is and anxiety, and it's not about getting rid of anxiety. It's not about getting comfortable. It's about being present in your discomfort. So if you've had discomfort and anxiety, you don't try to get rid of it. You allow, it's there, you allow it to be, and you don't, and instead of trying to strategize, how am I going to get comfortable? You see what comes through in the discomfort. Maybe it's a story, maybe it's just, I'm uncomfortable, maybe it's physical. Ooh, but be with one person at a time, instead of, oh, it's wrong to be uncomfortable. No, it's right to be uncomfortable, actually. That's where we all come from. So, you don't need to speak. So there's no need to perform in any way.